Why horror films are so good. Horror films have been around ever since the early 1800s, and as the general public, we have always loved them. The first horror film was released in 1896 on Christmas Eve in Paris. The film was titled Le Manoir de Diablo, French for The House of the Devil. And ever since this time, people have either loved or hated these types of films. The cash that horror films bring in. When it comes to horror films, they always gross a lot of money. In just the first week of December, there were 8 total horror films that together grossed a weekend amount of $145 million. This itself shows that as the general public, we as the people thrive to see these types of films. And these figures seem to be the same throughout the entire year when it comes to horror films as a whole. Which says, as long as there is a horror film to be released, there will always be a public to watch it. Hormones and psychological ramifications of horror films. When a person watches a horror film, the levels in the brain of a chemical called dopamine are raised or elevated. Dopamine itself affects the brain in such a way that it increases the heart rate and the movement of the body. Without dopamine itself, the body would not be able to move. There are diseases such as Parkinson's disease that are the exact reason for this, which are lack of dopamine. So in a way, if you can look at it, horror films help to temporarily raise the level of dopamine and get the body to be moving. When it comes to the psychological ramifications of horror films, they always capture our attention. Whenever you watch a horror film, our fear level is raised. We are fascinated with horror films in the fact that somehow what we see on movies might have a bias in reality. And we can then contemplate and absorb all from the comfort of our safety of a movie or our couch, walking away with a feeling that we have accomplished something, brave or daring. The subgenre of horror films. When a person watches a horror film, they may not realize that there are multiple different genres or subgenres of these films. These genres include cross-genre, cutting edge, dark fantasy, dark fiction, erotic horror, extreme, gothic, mythic, noir, psychological, soft or quiet, slasher, suspense, thriller, weird, and surreal. It is for these reasons and multiple subgenres that make horror films such a strong type of film. The evolution of horror films. Ever since the 1800s, horror films have evolved and changed over the years dramatically. These movies started out as silent movies and lasted maybe 2 to 10 minutes in length. And now they last an upwards of an hour to 2 hours. These films started out as black and white and did not have much gore or violence to them. As these films have evolved and changed over the years, however, the visual effects, violence, gore, and overall setup of these have changed dramatically, which is, in a way, an evolution. As the years have passed, these effects and changes have fostered better and better films. The future of horror films. As horror films age and grow, no one will ever really be able to tell what is going to happen. As we know from the past, these films have become better and better. It is for this reason myself and the general public is led to believe that these films will continue to be created and will become even bigger and bigger of a market in the film placement itself. But at the same time, we really can't tell. One day they may very well go away. We do know, however, if they do stay, that these films will become more gory, more violent, and some people will not like it. But this is the reason why we horror-loving film watchers crave these type of films. In conclusion, whether you love or hate horror films, they have been around and will continue to be around for years to come. These films will continue to give us goosebumps and scare us and make us hold on to the edge of our seats. I, however, hope that in this video that I have shown some light on this subject. I hope that for the horror film lovers out there, as myself in this class, that you have learned a little bit more of the reason why we love them. And for those that hate them, I hope now at least you have a little bit more understanding of why we love them so much. Thank you for your time. God bless.